Bitter criticism, night, all night long, day and night. Well, we are entering holiday in Chile, not holiday in Cambodia. Well, this is the screaming session, I don't want scream, scream. I forgot the lyric. I forgot that lyric. I don't wanna hear you. I don't wanna hear you scream. I don't want to hear you. I don't wanna hear you scream. Scream. It's driving me insane. Although do you scream? Do you scream? I hope I will. This is just a test. Let's see if YouTube will censor this video just because I'm singing a song. I am singing the song, understand? Well, this is a very interesting experiment. I will do more. I will sing more songs in order to see just if YouTube will censor my video. Oh, little China girl. Oh, little China girl. I could escape this feeling with my China girl. Wake up in the morning, where's my little China girl? I'm a mess with a... Oh yeah, I changed the lyric. So, just one more. I'm going for a walk. I don't remember the song. Well, I don't remember much song. Well, let's just read it. Let's just read some newspapers. Let's read something from Russia Today. I didn't read Russia Today today. The front page. Putin issues new warning to NATO. Yeah. Yesterday, Anthony Blinken said Ukraine will join my a marijuana cigarette, a weed cigarette with me. No. Ukraine will join NATO. Ukraine will not join with. Anyway, so Putin is answering Anthony Blinken, I guess. September 12, 2024, home, Russia and former Soviet Union. Putin issues new warning to NATO. Long-range strikes against Russia will mean direct involvement in the Ukraine conflict. We have a photograph of Vladimir Putin dressing blue with a blue wall after him, behind him. Russian President Vladimir Putin speaks during a plenary session of the 10th St. Petersburg International United Cultures Forum in St. Petersburg, Russia. Removing restrictions on Ukraine's use of Western weapons will directly involve the US and its allies in the conflict with Russia and will be met with an appropriate response. Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned. The West has sent Ukraine long-range missiles such as Storm Shadows and Atacams, which Kiev has so far used against Crimea and Donbass. In the past several days, however, the US and UK and the United Kingdom have suggested they might allow these weapons to be used to strike targets deeper into internationally recognized Russian territory. Quote, "We are not talking about allowing or prohibiting the Kiev regime from striking Russian territory," Putin said on Thursday. Quote, it is doing so already with unnamed aerial vehicles and other means," end of quote. Ukraine lacks the capability to use Western long-range systems, Putin added, noting that targeting for such strikes requires intelligence from NATO satellites, while firing solutions can only be entered by NATO military personnel. Quote, "This will mean that NATO countries, the US, European countries are fighting against Russia." Quote, "If this decision is made, it will mean nothing less than the direct participation of NATO countries, the US and European countries in the conflict in Ukraine," end of quote. The Russian president said, quote, "Their direct participation, of course, significantly changes the very nature of the conflict." With that in mind, Putin added, Russia will make the appropriate decisions based on the threats facing us. And we'll read more. There's a article related, of course. This is Antony Blinken Jr., Zelensky and other guy. From UK approves Ukrainian missile strikes deep inside Russia, The Guardian said. Oh, this is terrible, you know. Yeah, I'm going to come back to this article. Some limitations of the use of Western supplied weapons were originally put in place to allow the US and its allies to claim they were not directly involved in the conflict with Russia, while arming Ukraine to the tune of $200 billion. Kiev has been clamoring for the restrictions to be lifted since May. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and British Foreign Secretary David Lammy have hinted that the restrictions might be lifted this week, citing the alleged delivery of Iranian ballistic missiles to Russia as the pretext. Iran has denied sending any missiles to Russia, calling the accusations psychological warfare by countries heavily involved in arming Ukraine. Putin has previously warned NATO members to be aware of, quote, what they are playing with when discussing plans to allow Kiev to strike deep inside Russian territory using weapons provided by the West. Speaking with major news agencies on the sidelines of the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, SPIEF, in June, the Russian president said Russia will respond by shooting down the weapons in question and then retaliating against those responsible. One of the possible responses Putin mentioned at the time was arming Western enemies with long-range precision weapons. And well, I'm going back to the article about United Kingdom. September 11, this is from yesterday. home world news. United Kingdom approves Ukrainian missile strikes deep inside Russia. Guardian. This was from The Guardian. The Western media is manufacturing public consent for the move, according to a Russian senator. Yeah, this Guardian is just wokeism. You know, I was listening a podcast as usual about a communist party in the US, and the caster said that the West, I include myself, we in the West, in the West Global South, we supposedly love this freedom that no, it was actually was a Vietnamese, an American journalist with Vietnamese ancestry. She said, of course, Chinese people will beat the U.S. in calculus, but the United States beat China in innovation, in freedom, you know. But all this freedom, you know, this is just garbage, you know. I guess the West is completely decadent, you know. All day long I'm willing to move to China, to Hainan. Anyway, UK approves Ukrainian missile strike deep inside Russia, The Guardian. We have a photograph here. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy meet with Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky in Kiev, September 11, 2024. Washington and London may have already decided to let Kiev use long-range missiles to strike strikes deep inside Russia, and are now sending the narrative through the media. Russian Senator Alexei Pushkov has said Britain has already given the green light for the use of Storm Shadow missiles. The Guardian reported on Wednesday, citing anonymous government sources. London, however, is not expected to announce the move publicly, the sources claimed. Quote, the decision to strike Russian territory is clearly being prepared, Pushkov wrote on Telegram on Wednesday. Quote, there are too many conversations and hints about it for it to be reserved. Even if it has not been made yet, it looks like it will be a matter of days. The leak via The Guardian is not accidental. Public opinion is being prepared. End of quote. Limitations on the use of Western supplied weapons were originally put in place to allow the US and its allies to claim they were not directly involved in the conflict with Russia, while arming Ukraine to the tune of $200 billion. Kiev has been clamoring for the restrictions to be lifted since May, however. According to The Guardian, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken gave the strongest hint yet about permitting Ukraine to use long-range ATACMS missiles against Russia during his visit to Kiev on Wednesday. The decision is understood to have already been made in private, the British outlet claimed. Blinken signaled the potential shift from Washington on Tuesday, according to Bloomberg, by bringing up Iran's alleged delivery of missiles to Moscow. UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy, who tagged along with Blinken to Kiev, has said the Iranian missile delivery was a significant and dangerous escalation that influenced the thinking in London and Washington. Quote, the escalator here is Russian President Vladimir Putin. Putin has escalated with the shipment of missiles from Iran. We see a new axis of Russia, Iran and North Korea. The Guardian quoted Lamia saying, Iran has denied sending any missiles to Russia, calling the accusations, quote, psychological warfare, and particularly rich coming from countries heavily involved in arming Ukraine. An open letter from 27 U.S. congressmen and senators sent to President Joe Biden on Wednesday did not mention Iranian missiles at all. Instead, it claimed that Ukraine's incursion into Russia's Kursk region, quote, changed the very nature of the war, and argued that Ukraine is not intimidated by Putin's tyranny, and in the defense of liberty, we should not be either. Sorry. The US continues to test the limits of our tolerance for hostile steps and is, quote, paving the way for World War III. The Russian ambassador to the US, Anatoly Antonov, told reporters on Wednesday, quote, it is impossible to negotiate with terrorists. They must be destroyed. Antonov added, quote, as in the years of the Great Patriotic War, fascism must be eradicated, and the goals and objectives of the special military operation must be fully achieved. No one should doubt that it will be so. Yeah, end of quote. Putin has previously warned the NATO members to be aware of, quote, what they are playing with when discussing plans to allow Kiev to strike deep inside Russian territory using weapons provided by the West. The Russian military is taking appropriate countermeasures. According to Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, while Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov called the use of Storm Shadow missiles inside Russia territory playing with fire. Well, yeah, sounds terrible. This is a funny one. Look, Elon Musk proposes to Taylor Swift. Elon Musk proposes to Taylor Swift. The pop star was offered that child and cat benefits after her endorsement of VP Kamala Harris for US President. What? I didn't get it. Tech mogul Elon Musk has offered to father a child with Taylor Swift and protect her cats after the songstress announced her endorsement in the U.S. presidential race. In a post to her 280 billion Instagram followers, the 34-year-old pop star backed Democrat Kamala Harris used a photo of herself holding a cat and signed it, childless catty lady. I didn't get it. Well, I don't care neither, you know. I don't care about Taylor, you know. I have an opinion about Taylor Swift. If Taylor Swift really is a great singer, if she is a really great musician, everybody will know her songs, you know. I don't know her songs. I never heard her songs on the radio. That's the question, you know. So for me, synth pop from the 90s still playing on the radio. 40 years after. 40 years after, there's still the 80s and 90s synth pop songs. So I'm okay with that, you know. And now we are going to read from Fyodor Lukyanov, September 12, 2024. Fyodor Lukyanov, Western elites could be about to get a taste of their own color revolution medicine. The US and Western European establishment know how to interfere and influence elections abroad, which is why they fear what's happening now. By Fyodor Lukyanov, the editor-in-chief of Russia in Global Affairs, chairman of the Presidium of the Council on Foreign and Defense Policy, and research director of the Valdai International Discussion Club. Not a carnival club, but anyway. We have a photograph. We need a change as a protester, not a rioter, a man protester holding placard with text, quote, "We need a change on city street." There's a reason why 2024 has been called the year of the big elections. More than half of the world's population will be called to the ballot boxes, but this time it goes deeper than normal. Voting has always been important, of course, but in calmer, or rather more orderly. Times not every election was considered crucial. Now, on the contrary, consequential elections are routine. Almost every contest is capable of shaking up, if not changing, the course of events. And it's not just about who wins. More important is the sense of legitimacy and the recognition by citizens that the results themselves are legitimate. This should be a well-established, self-evident truth. Firstly, it has always been the case, and secondly, political institutions exist to ensure it. The era of rule by force alone is long gone, and even openly authoritarian regimes have to take account of the interests and demands of the population, and entrenched democracies have to find sophisticated ways to maintain stability and continuity in the face of mistrust of procedures. 20 years ago, one of the dominant trends was democracy promotion. The policy of the then neoconservative US administration, George Bush and Dick Cheney, was based on the ideological postulate that the spread of the democratic form of government around the world was the most reliable guarantee of the United States, but also of a positive universal order. They felt that one was inseparable from the other. You know, by this last week, I heard some podcasts from the right wing, I guess, saying exactly this. They are promoting democracy. I'm not sure if they were representing, or they were talking for themselves. Anyway, the range of tools they had was wide, from actively supporting certain social processes, so-called color revolutions, which raged from the post-Soviet space to the Middle East and North Africa, to direct military intervention to affect regime change from the Balkans to the Middle East again. Whether Washington wanted it or not, democracy became a political and economic tool for external rather than internal use. The notion of the fundamental importance of having elections recognized by an external arbiter with the right to certify the result was what emerged. And if that arbiter wasn't happy with the outcome, it empowered itself to demand a revision, even by force. The implication was that the problems with electoral legitimacy were only possible in fragile young democracies. However, even in stable, well-established democracies, things do not always run smoothly, even if generally institutions guarantee order. Now, 2 decades later, the focus has shifted to those same older democracies. Many of these countries are undergoing changes that involve their erosion, if not the loss of military ways of life and ideas about the future. The capitalist economy seems to be solving the problems not of sovereignty, but rather its own issues. And technology may work wonders, but whether it is to the benefit or detriment of man is less and less obvious. Political mechanisms carry a heavy burden. They have to keep the system afloat and prove its effectiveness and legitimacy. After all, the parties may once have reflected the composition of societies, but many no longer to do so. Trust in institutions is falling, as it almost always does in times of great change, and the nature of the mistrust is similar to that which created the conditions for color revolutions in more fragile states. Hence, the constant fears and they may be genuine, of outside interference and influence. The American and Western European establishment knows very well how to intervene in and influence troubled societies. Now they think the same will happen to them. So far, the ruling elites have been strong enough to cope. On the one hand, there are still considerable economic reserves that can be used to plug holes, and on the other hand, there is the adroit use of manipulation that makes it possible not to allow alternatives to take the helm. But these resources are not infinite. Paradoxically, systems accused of being undemocratic are probably better equipped to survive, at least in the short and medium term. They have to constantly demonstrate to citizens that they are capable of solving their problems. Whereas a traditional democracy believes that the democratic turnover of itself is a remedy for problems. In reality, swapping out one party in power for another changes almost nothing, which only exacerbates discontent. All signs suggest we are now in a transition period, and it is impossible to predict what the future will look like. But the process promises to be long and uneven, and much depends on how and in what form the new reality is embraced. What is happening now are attempts to maintain an acceptable status quo in spite of all the obstacles. This article was first published by the newspaper Rossiyskaya Gazeta and was translated and edited by the Russia Today team. And that's it from Russia Today. Now I prefer, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but my favorite is Cgtn. In the past, not long time ago, in recent past, Cgtn for me look too boring. It was kind of boring. It was kind of too institutional, too cold. Understand? Maybe hypocritical from China, but now I realize it. Maybe they changed too. Maybe they improve it. I bet that Chinese people listen to me and improve the style. The matter is, to me, they write so well in a very harmonious way. Is the best thing I ever read. Yeah. Well, I like Roberto Bolaño, for example. And I like Clifford Geertz, the anthropologist. And I love Cgtn too. Well, politics. September 12, 2024. China continues to push for high-quality development, ecological conservation of Yellow River Basin. September 13, 2024. We have a photograph of a view of Lanzhou, the capital of northwest China's Gansu province. Accounting for 2% of Russia's river runoff, the Yellow River, known as China's Mother River, runs through 9 provinces and autonomous regions, feeds about 12% of China's population, irrigates about 15% of arable land, and supplies water to more than 50 cities. Among the major river basins in China, the Yellow River Basin has the largest proportion of water and soil loss area to the basin land area. The ecology of the upper, middle, and lower reaches of river is prone to degradation, with extremely difficult and slow restoration ability and population and pollution emissions. Chinese President Xi Jinping held a symposium in 2019 and 2021, urging concerted efforts to promote ecological protection and high-quality development on the Yellow River, adding that differences between the upper, middle, and lower reaches of the river should be fully considered, given that the Yellow River ecosystem is an organic whole. Echoing President Xi's words, China has planned and implemented a series of practical measures to protect the river. To date, the water quality along the mainstream of the river continues to improve, with the biodiversity at the source of the Yellow River and the Yellow River Delta showing continuous improvement. Convening a meeting on the ecological conservation and high-quality development of the basin on Thursday in Lanzhou, the capital of northwest China's Gansu province. She also General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, CPC, Central Committee, and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, called for promoting ecological protection across the entire river basin to a new level, achieving new progress in green transformation and bringing new improvements to the lives of the people. We have another photograph. Chinese President Xi Jinping, also General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee, and chairman of the Central Military Commission. Subtitle. I'm not sure if you say subtitle, but you know, it's like a headline, a small headline. So a subtitle. Ecological protection reaching a higher level. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, she has always paid attention to the conservation of the Yellow River. He has inspected 9 provinces and autonomous regions along the river, promoting continuous new progress in ecological conservation and high quality development of the basin. The Yellow River Protection Law came into effect in April 2023 as China's second piece of legislation on a specific river basin after the Yangtze River Protection Law. The new law seeks to resolve key problems of the Yellow River Basin, including water shortages, ecological fragility, and flooding. Over the past year, there has been a marked improvement in the Yellow River Basin's ecological environment and the ecological outlook for the rivers, lakes, and reservoirs continues to improve. Through implementing ecological water replenishment, a total of 1.448 billion cubic meters of water has been replenished in key areas, ensuring that the mainstream of the Yellow River continued to flow for 24 consecutive years, focusing on the comprehensive management of water and soil loss. The country has achieved a double reduction in the area and intensity of water and soil loss in the basin. The country also saw advancement in water and soil loss control in the lowest plateau. Today, 61% of the water and soil loss area in the 3 North Shelter Belt Forest Program has been effectively controlled, and the annual sediment flow into the Yellow River has been reduced by about 400 million tons. Quote, "It is necessary to continuously improve the holistic framework of ecological protection and collaboration in the Yellow River Basin to strengthen the national ecological security shields," she said during Tuesday's meeting, urging continuous efforts to intensify the battle against pollution and highlighting the management of important tributaries and key lakes and reservoirs. And we have, I guess, the last photograph, a view of a section of the Yellow River in Maku, northwest China's Gansu province. There's a lot of water over there. High quality development of the basin. Following Xi's consistent attention to the matter, in October 2021, the central authorities issued a comprehensive guideline on the ecological protection and high quality development to the Yellow River Basin to 2030 and beyond. The 9 provinces and autonomous regions the Yellow River runs through also took concrete action to advance the ecological protection and high quality development of the basin. Located in the upper reaches of the Yellow River, Gansu province is an important water conservation and replenishment area for the entire Yellow River basin. In recent years, the province has taken multiple measures to continue to maintain the health of the river, taking the lead in formulating and promulgating provincial level regulations regarding the basin's ecological protection and high quality development. Gansu has also established 103 ambient air quality automatic monitoring stations, 87 water environment monitoring sections, 26 water quality automatic monitoring stations, 402 soil environment quality monitoring points, and 2052 acoustic environment quality monitoring points, realizing dynamic supervision of the ecology of the Yellow River Basin. Meanwhile, the province has made significant strides in promoting green development in the Yellow River Basin. In the first quarter of this year, the province transmitted 12,531 billion kilowatt hours of electricity, a year-on-year increase of 21.27%. A total of 5,158 billion kilowatt hours of electricity was delivered from new energy sources, an increase of 20.15% year-on-year, contributing to clean and low-carbon energy transformation across the country. It is necessary to promote a comprehensive green transformation of the development model and build a modern industrial system with distinctive advantages, she said, calling for efforts to develop a green and low-carbon economy, orderly promote the planning and construction of large-scale wind power and photovoltaic bases in power transmission channels, and speed up the substitution of clean energy for fossil fuels in key industries. That was my first and last article because it was huge. I have to do my yoga now. Today looks like I'm going to read. Well, as everybody knows, the Energia 2 is free, but here we have Pepe Escobar on Pepe Café. Pepe Café on the street. Look.
Bem-vindos de volta a Moscou. Um dia maravilhoso. Moscou comemorando 877 anos.
Pepe Escobar is outdoors. Pepe Escobar outdoors in Moscow.
O passado recente e o presente. Uma pequena história dos 24 anos desse milênio incandescente. Bom, primeiro de tudo, inscrevam-se no canal. O que vocês ouviram, estão ouvindo e vão ouvir aqui, não vão ouvir e ver em lugar nenhum. A começar por essa maravilha de paisagem de fim de tarde em Moscou. Bom, vamos falar das guerras eternas, que é a continuidade do que seria desde o início do milênio a narrativa fundamental e o mito, digamos, o mito fundamental do século XXI, como foi vendido para os americanos e para a opinião pública mundial pelos neocons, os neoconservadores e os ziocons, os zionistas conservadores americanos, e um contraste com o que aconteceu na semana passada, onde eu estava em Vladivostok, no extremo leste russo, onde o Fórum de Vladivostok estava com certeza absoluta, mapeando o futuro da Rússia num projeto de desenvolvimento nacional até 2030 e até, em vários aspectos, até 2035. Então é o contraste absolutamente brutal nesses últimos 24 anos entre o que teria sido a guerra do terror durante a administração não Bush, na verdade a administração Dick Cheney, o regime Dick Cheney, que estava no poder dos Estados Unidos em 2001, quando aconteceu o 11 de setembro, como isso teria se desdobrado segundo os planos originais dos neocons e dos ciocons, lançando essa guerra do terror.
So yeah, Pepe Escobar from Russia. Very nice. I definitely will watch that. So in these latest minutes, so I don't know why people are not subscribing Pepe Escobar's channel. Why not? Pepe Escobar is having a bad time with his channel. You know, I always have this feeling that Pepe Escobar is not doing well with finances. And I always have this feeling that Pepe Escobar has some health issues, which is sad. I'll have to say this. Pepe Escobar got really old. Maybe he's being prosecuted by the empire. Who knows? Maybe that's not a joke, you know. Maybe that's not it's really not a joke. Like maybe he's worried about something, you know. Maybe he's just too old. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm old too, but I'm doing my yoga. Can you see? So I try my best. I'm reading some news. I download a lot of books from Marilena Chauí. You know, I realized that I am affiliated with Marilena Chauí, the Brazilian philosopher. I'm heavily influenced by her. All his books, I think just like her. Well, influence, understand? She influenced me very much. She's the most eloquent. Maybe this is not the most eloquent, but she's so beautiful and clear. She's Virgo.